What's up, boys? So today I wanted to talk to you all about a question that I've gotten a lot recently in the past, I don't know, 3 to 4 years, and that is, why do I live a simple or why do I live a humble life? This is a question that people in my real life have asked me, friends in game have asked me, people I've known online for years have asked me, people in my stream have asked me, other streamers have asked me, everyone has asked me this question, and I thought I should make a video and kind of explain where I'm coming from and what I think. So I think that the best way for me to make this video and actually do it is to start from the very beginning whenever I was younger and show you kind of what's happened in my life to make me arrive at the position that I'm at now. So whenever I was a lot younger, and I'm talking about ages, I'd say like 6 or 7 to 13 or so. So all of elementary school, and I do apologize, there are a lot of fucking mosquitoes here, so I might be flailing around for a little bit of time in this video, but I did want to record this outside. So anyway, this is whenever I was a lot younger, and I went out and I cared a lot about wearing Nike, I cared a lot about wearing nice shoes, and I remember my mom bought me a really expensive pair of shoes at Academy, and it was awesome, and I'd go and show them off, and people would think I was cool, etc. And these types of things and the materialism of it was very appealing to me. It was very important to me. It was part of who I was as a person, and I basically allowed that to kind of be part of what I identified myself as. And that was the case all through elementary school and also all through middle school. And the real formative moment for me personally was in high school. Now, in high school, I didn't always go to the same one high school. I went to 2 high schools. At the very beginning, I went to a more upscale, a richer high school where, you know, it wasn't like super rich or anything like that, but it was definitely more upscale. You had the kids who would drive the Hummers to school, and it was very obvious that these kids did not buy their cars from their McDonald's part-time job, okay? Their parents bought them very expensive cars, and they were very brand conscious. They were very conscientious about what they would wear, how they would look, how they would appear. And whenever I looked at those people, I thought it was so superficial and so worthless and so meaningless that it was just very off-putting and weird to me. And then I realized that I was also looking in a mirror. And I realized that while those people were doing this same thing, I was just doing it to a lesser extent. And if I had as much money as they did, I'd be just like them. And I think that realizing that I didn't fit in with those people at all and seeing the conclusion that that type of mindset led to kind of allowed me to diverge from that type of mentality. And whenever I went to another high school, this was a much more poor high school, I fit in much better there. I liked it much better there. And I didn't really give a shit about that stuff anymore. I didn't care what my shirts said on them. I didn't care what car my mom drove to school. These things were just completely meaningless to me because I cared more about spending time with my friends and being happy and doing the things that I wanted to do. And I think that's another big part of this, is that a lot of people, I believe, do things, especially nowadays, not necessarily nowadays, because it's harder to do things nowadays, but, you know, in the proverbial nowadays sense, it's much more common to see people that they will do things because they feel like they should do them. They'll do things because they feel like they would want to have done them. And I think that's even a little bit more acceptable, but it's mainly the people that push themselves into a circular hole whenever they're a square peg. And the fact is, I'm a fucking triangle. I'm not like any of this other stuff. I'm myself. And I think that coming into yourself and realizing who you really are and not allowing a brand or not allowing a item or a piece of jewelry or clothing or anything like that to define who you are is extremely important in understanding who you are and building up your own self-image. And I think that's really what it comes down to. A lot of times whenever I was younger, the reason why I felt so attached to these different things, why I felt like I needed to have Nike, why I felt like I needed to have, you know, X, Y, or Z, my parents needed to have a nice car. Why is that really? What is the fundamental reason for that? And it's, I believe, because I was insecure. I didn't feel like I was enough on my own. I needed something more to become more than what I was, and I viewed those brands and those different things that were superficial as a way to expand who I was and inflate who I was. And I realized that it was all hot air. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference one way or another. And I think as I've gotten older, I would always think about what would I do if I had X amount of money? What would I do if I had Y amount of money? And then whenever I got those amounts of money, I realized that I actually didn't really care about what I was going to do with the money. I cared more about having the money and being able to do those things if I wanted to. But the thing itself didn't really matter to me. I take actually great pride in having a cheap fucking shitty car. And I think that a lot of people might not ever look at things this way, but think about it like this. If I go out to Taco Bell and somebody keys my car, I don't care. It doesn't really matter to me. Yeah, it's going to piss me off, but it's not going to ruin my day. You know why? Because it's a shitty 2001 Mustang. It's worth $2,000. If I had a Lamborghini that was worth 200 grand, I would be stressed out constantly. I would be worried constantly. I would be worried about the people that would park next to me. I would be worried about the quality of the car. If the car made a weird noise, there's a little bit of anxiety that would come. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that with a lot of these luxuries come at a cost. And the cost is not just the money, it's also your peace of mind. And for me personally, I don't want to have my life and my burden, or sorry, not my burden, I'm going to get to that. I don't want to have my life burdened by these meaningless things. I don't want to have to think about my car. I don't want to have to think about, my clothes. These are things that are not important to me. These don't make me happy. And I think that it's very important for other people. I've said this many times on my stream, it's very important to buy things that make you happy, but it's equally important to make sure that buying things doesn't make you happy. And I think, for example, whenever I first got a little bit of money, I bought a 50-inch television, and it was a great one. I've always wanted a large TV, and this was back whenever I worked at the IRS. It was one of my first paychecks. I went and I bought that. And then after that paycheck, I just basically saved the rest of the money because I was like, okay, well, got the TV, beat the game, I'm done. And I think later on I bought a computer with it, with that plus a little bit of my YouTube money. But other than that, I think that was really all I really wanted. And so the reason why I don't really care about these kinds of things is because they don't really, there's nothing that this enables me to do. Having a very fast car, a very cool car that can drive 200 miles an hour, well, who gives a shit if you're just driving to Wendy's? It doesn't matter. Even if you're on the highway, if you go 200 miles an hour, you're going to jail. So the whole idea of having the ability to do this to me seems very unnecessary. It's completely pointless. So it's like buying a brand new gaming computer to play Minecraft or Solitaire. Who gives a shit? And so I think there's a certain amount of freedom that comes with not having things of luxury, because you don't have to worry about upkeeping them. You don't have to worry about keeping them clean or keeping them safe or keeping them in the right condition. I don't have to worry about those things, and that leaves my mind open to think about and to worry about the things that I do care about and the things that really matter. I think everybody can agree that worrying about weird sounds that your car makes is not an enjoyable experience, and the more that you do that, the less that you're thinking about how can you be better at your job? How can you create the next thing that will make you feel like you did something that mattered? How will you be a better friend? How can you be a better son or parent or whatever? All of these things now take a second row to the car. The car, who gives a fuck about the car? It just doesn't really matter to me. And so I think also another factor is it's a matter of contentness. I'm very content. I'm happy. I live with my mom. At some point in the future, I will probably buy a house when I move in with a girl and, be maybe a slightly functioning member of society. But until then, I'm completely happy and content with living with my mom and doing whatever I want. It makes me happy. I love my mom. I help her around the house, and I help pay for things and clean things up and just, basically live the life that I've always lived. There's nothing really that I've ever wanted more than that. There are things that I want, and those things that I want are not things. Many of the things that I want as a person, you can't touch. Many of the things that I want, you can't buy. And so what is really the point of having these things? There isn't any. They're just distractions. They're, basically eating, like eating junk food whenever you're hungry. It will not necessarily fill you up in the same way. And whenever it does, the side effects are not very good, let me tell you. So I think that's really where I'm coming from. And the reality is that I wake up every morning and I'm happy. Almost all the time, right? I mean, there are things that depress me. I'm not depressed, but there are things that I think about them and it's like, fuck. You know, I've got a lot of problems with my teeth. I've been working through those, but I have a lot of problems with them still. And that really stresses me out a lot. That bothers me out a lot. And that is a problem that partially money can fix, but at the same time, it is what it is. But other than the things that are mostly immutable, I can't really deal with as easily. I'm relatively happy, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and I like streaming. I love making videos. I love playing video games. I love spending time with my friends, and I love creating things. I love talking about things that I'm passionate about, and I love just doing things that make me happy. And I focus so much more on doing things that make me happy rather than having things that make me happy. Having things is more or less a burden for me now than actually a reward. I don't really live a very materialistic life at all anymore. I don't really care about almost anything other than things that have sentimental value to me. There's nothing that I'm really looking forward to getting or buying or something like that, because it's just another burden for me. You know, if I get a new thing, it's like, okay, well, where am I going to put this in my room now? What am I going to do with this? Is this really going to improve the quality of my life, or is it going to be just another burden on my everyday life that just gets in the way? And oftentimes it's the latter and not the former. And I think that's one of the mindset changes that I've had. And I think that really for a lot of people, it's hard to actually get to the point where I'm at without being at the point where I was. And I don't really think that there's any way to make that process any faster. I think that it's a completely internal thing. You can't really goad this into happening. You can't, kickstart this or anything like that. But I think that the first thing that if you want to do anything is to think about what really makes you happy. And if having X, Y, or Z makes you happy, think to yourself and ask yourself, is having that thing what makes you happy, or is being able to have that thing what makes you happy? Because for me, being able to have that thing is what made me happy, and that's why I never really had to have the thing, because I was happy at the very beginning. And so the real answer of why I live a humble or why I live a simple life is that I don't. I live the most extravagant, great life I could possibly ever imagine. I'm surrounded by my friends that I spend time with daily. I have a great, I hate calling it a job. I really do. I hate calling it a job. But I have a great thing that I do with my streams and my videos. I consider myself incredibly lucky, and I'm very passionate about that in many ways. And I have my parents that care about me and love me. I have my family that cares about me. I have my real life friends that I've known for 20 years, and I still am friends with them and I see them all the time. I don't live a humble or a simple life at all. I'm extremely happy. I don't need a expensive car or anything like that to have. I live a very extravagant life, I live a life of opulence, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to do with money or things or anything like that. And so I wanted to share that with people because I think a lot of people need to hear that, because I see a lot of people that are very materialistically minded, and I understand that better than almost anybody does. And it's also very, I'm sure, ironic for me to talk about this whenever I am so focused on collecting items. I care more about getting items in game than in real life. And that's absolutely true, because at least items in the game don't really take up space unless it's in my inventory, and I think you guys have seen that, so you can see kind of what my mindset is about that as well. So the point that I'm really trying to make with this is that try to realize, and if this is like any bit of advice for anybody, is that trying to realize what really makes you happy, what you really want. And I think for me it was more fulfillment, more than the thing itself. It was the fulfillment and the ability to buy it, and more than that, what that meant. That meant a realization of the self. That meant a success, and I really wanted the success not necessarily what the success entail. The success entailing things that doesn't really matter. I just care about the actual success of itself. And I'm very passionate about pushing towards that and working towards that and doing things that make that happen. And it makes me happy, and that's really all I need. And many times whenever I make videos or I'm editing videos, I'm in one of the best moods possible because I'm doing the thing that I love to do. And I think that if that's something that other people can catch, other people can hold on to, it's something that just kind of completely changes your perspective on the way that you go about your life. And that's why I wanted to make this video and kind of give people my insight into it, and hopefully people can see where I'm coming from. And I try to help as many people with this as possible because I feel like it's just so important. Obviously, I'd be very curious to hear all of your feedback and a lot of the comments that people have for this. I've thought like 2-3 weeks on how to make this video. Hopefully this is the best way. But regardless, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you soon. Peace.